I've asked everybody this. I'll ask you this too, and pardon me if I've already asked you. I asked it of Sean McVay last hour by saying, I know it's not your house. It's, as a matter of fact, somebody else's house. But, he knows Shanahan personally, and he competes with him, and he also knows what it's like to evaluate at the quarterback position and be aggressive to get the one that you want. So I thought he was a perfect guy to ask. Really? They don't know who it is? Like, they actually struck this deal by saying, we're fine with all three. As a matter of fact, let's keep grinding tape. And it's better to be in the position if we have a choice of all three. I mean, like, for real? They don't know who it is? Albert?
Yeah, I honestly, I think that at least a week or two ago, there was a point where if you asked different people in that building, you might get a different answer on who the guy should be.
But they might not know. They might not know in terms of being in that building.
Yeah, and I think Kyle's the fact is, like, Kyle's the one who's going to be pulling the trigger on this, right? So really, I think Kyle, this would be my guess, and I don't want to like play this off as like being inside information, but
sure.
I've covered the league for 15 years. I know how a lot of these teams operate and everything else, and I think that, like, for Kyle, it's going to be a matter of, I have what I thought at first, and I'm going to go through the process. And I think his dad could be involved in this too. And at the end, we're going to figure out who the best quarterback is, and I'm going to take all the input, distill it, and figure out what I want to do. I also believe this, and I've been told this a few times by a few different people. They believe that there are 5 first-round quarterbacks in this year's class.
Huh.
So, for better or worse, the 3 quarterbacks that are going to be in there, like, they went into that trade thinking each of those guys was a first-round quarterback. So, and it's interesting too, because you bring up Sean. And in a certain way, isn't it almost like Sean just traded Mac Jones for Justin Fields or Trey Lance?
What do you mean by that?
The guy who's like the kind of smart game manager type for the physically gifted, like part of moving. Like, if you look at like Sean, right? And Sean and Kyle are different.
Yes.
And obviously Sean and Kyle are very close. But in a certain way, like, Sean got fed up with the Mac Jones, so he went and got himself a Trey Lance or Justin Fields. Don't you think that's fair?
Well, he definitely soured on the guy who was there. He wouldn't use the phrase of souring. He mentioned production. He also was typical of McVay, Albert. He took responsibility of something that he did wrong that led to the relationship with he and Goff no longer being tenable when somebody of Stafford's capabilities and abilities and still major upside becomes available. That's the way that he portrayed the end of that relationship. But he also did say that he believes that the Niners have absolutely identified one in particular while grinding tape just to be sure. Like, he believes that.
Yeah, and again, like, I think that that's fair, and I think that it's like, look, like I said, like, you hire Kyle because, in large part, he's great on offense and great with quarterbacks, right? That's why you hire him, and you trust that guy to make that decision. Like, that's that. And so there's one guy making this. I think there's one guy who's going to have the trigger at the end, and it's Kyle. And it should be that way. And that's nothing against anybody else in the building. I just think it's, like I said, like, I think, what you're talking about, and what Sean said there is probably right, is that Sean, that Kyle's got it in his head, like, it had it in his head when he made the trade of who the guy's going to be. And now, he and the rest of the team are working through the process to either confirm that or decide player A or player B rather than player C is what's best for us long term.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.